Today's video is gonna be a different one from the previous in this channel, since it's a very sensitive and hard one to make, coming from a real follower of mine from Chile who married a Chinese woman, and he is willing to share with us his real story. So just be cautious with your comments. You are welcome to comment as much as you want, coming from your own experience, give suggestions, etc., etc. This story was previously told in my Spanish channel, so I'm gonna pin that story down in the comment section. In any case you wanna go and check out my Spanish channel, there have been some followers from this channel going to my Spanish one and checking like content there with subtitles. So yeah, let's go down straight to business. So I'm just gonna read the story because he wrote it down for us. First of all, it's like, my name is X, because it's anonymous. I am 20 years old and I am married to a Chinese woman who is 4 years older than me. That's an important one to have in mind. Living in a medium-sized city in southern China. He didn't tell us really which city was that. Now I want to divorce, return to Chile, and I don't know how to tell her. Why is that he wants to divorce? Let us all know. Well, I met my wife, who is Chinese, in 2017 to an app called Hello Talk. In those years, I was learning Chinese as I had been dating another Chinese person in 2016 while living in California. It's a beautiful story. If you want, I could tell you another day. He meant like that previous one. We broke up with that person due to the distance and communication problems, but I was intrigued by the language, so I kept studying. Back to 2017, my current wife was learning Spanish through this app, and we started chatting. She owns a Chinese calligraphy institute with her dad. She has worked there since she was in college, and her dad paid her about $1,000 a month. From this, she saved and rented her own studio to work independently. Her students were her dad's students. A month later, in October 2017, I told my wife that I liked her. Having had such a beautiful experience with my ex in California, who by the way never returned to China, I thought about giving the Chinese culture another chance. In December 2017, I graduated from university as an English teacher. She told me that I had a very good career to live in China, since foreigners work here teaching English. In 2018, I got my first job and moved out of my mom's house. My friends and sister always tell me that I am very mature and organized for my age. In January 2019, we met. She traveled to Chile. Mostly everything was wonderful, except for one time when she pinched my nose, but I stopped her right away and told her I didn't agree with physical punishment. In September 2019, I traveled to China. It was also a good trip, but one time in Shanghai, I passed by an elderly woman who was walking with no intention of harming her or anything, but my wife started scolding me for about half an hour, saying that what I had done was wrong, that I was inconsiderate, blah blah blah. That night I couldn't sleep. I returned to Chile in October. The social crisis in Chile began in October 18, then the pandemic, and we were in a long-distance relationship until 2023. Wow, this is just crazy, seriously. From 2019 to 2023, I know that some of you guys can stand that, but that's like 4 years long distance. Constantly calling each other. In 2021, her mother committed. She decided to live life. She had cancer. That same year, I was studying to go back to university and study engineering, a bachelor in engineering. I dropped it because I thought I needed to travel to China to be with her. At the end of 2022, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. This is just so unfortunate. First her mom with that illness, then his dad with that same illness. A couple of weeks after the news, she told me she was going to travel to Chile to make me some company. Around the same time, I started seeing a psychologist who diagnosed me with borderline personality disorder, which made me analyze more about the people I relate to and the boundaries I have to set in my life. January and February of 2023 were intense months. I truly appreciated that my wife traveled to be with me. At the end of January, grateful that this person had traveled twice to the other side of the world to see me, I asked her if she would like to marry me, to which she answered yes. She said yes. We got married in February, lover's date maybe, but she had to return before March for a legal hearing with her dad, who bought an apartment that was never built. In April 2024, my dad passed away from stage 4 cancer. This is just so unfortunate. They both lost their parents like almost at the same time for the same illness. In one of the last conversations I had with him, he told me that he will understand if I ever got divorced. That I should always put my happiness and peace at first, and that if you cover a barrel in gold, it won't fly. Wow. An aunt of my father's side told me something similar, and that I should always have money saved for a return ticket. Wow, maybe people are wise. Old people are wiser, of course. In March 2024, I traveled to China to live there. I sold all my things, and what I couldn't sell, I left to my younger sister. And here the problems began. So, yeah. Sorry if there's noise, but I'm just here. When I got off the plane, she asked me to change my clothes. I was wearing a one piece of shirt. She said I looked like a teenager. My other spare shirt was a Miku one, another otaku shirt. There weren't many alternatives, so I saw her annoyed. After doing the paperwork to validate our marriage and residency, she sent me 50,000 renminbi via WeChat and told me not to spend my money from a Chilean bank because of the interest rate. I told her that 50,000 was too much and that 10,000 will be enough until I found a job. So he went there just jobless. 3 months later, in June, I still hadn't found any job. I told her that the money she lent me, the 10,000, had run out, to which she exploded in anger and started yelling at me. Once things calmed down, she told me that she knew I was bad at managing money, but never imagined it would be this bad, that she could live in China on 1 to 10 of what she received, like with 10% of her income. That she understands that I don't know how to budget since my mom, an accountant and a bank teller, and my sister, who became independent at 20, don't know how to manage their money. Didn't know. She said she would lend me 2,000 more, or she could give me just the money for what I needed when I wanted to buy something, so I could control my finances better. I accepted the 2,000, but since then I have been moving money from Chile and selling my things in China to survive. The bank commission is very high, but the freedom is priceless. I just remember that when I once told her that I didn't get a call back from an job interview, she said, "And would you hire yourself? You are a Latino teaching English. Of course they are looking for an American or a Brit instead of you. My master's is in TESOL. It's completely irrelevant." Another day she mentioned that she didn't like the wedding. There was a good atmosphere, but it wasn't what she wanted. Of course, most of my friends are otaku geeks. She wanted a traditional wedding at a hotel. She also starts laughing at the tastes of my friends. Another time, she started talking badly about how a foreign woman who works as a teacher at a university here dresses, saying she shows too much, just like people in Chile. And that is because of so much exhibitionism that there is so much sexual crime over there. She keeps complaining about the clothes I wear, saying that wearing black is bad luck. And speaking of bad luck, she complains that I move my legs while sitting, as that makes money move away from you. Like this, maybe. Oh my god, this is very interesting. Last week, she told me I couldn't wear my favorite shirt, a red shirt, because it makes my skin looks darker. Regarding interpersonal relationships, I have seen that she spends her time scolding her dad, who also responds in a shouting manner. They both speak in a dialect, but I can understand that they are complaining about what the other does. She tells me that I should be the same way. When I've told her while crying that I don't like being yelled at, she insisted that's how things are in China. People raise their voices to prove they are right, and that foreigners are very sensitive. Once, while we were having lunch, she took my plate of food when her dad and she finished eating. Her dad said something to her in a dialect, took the plate and returned it to me. She walked away grumbling. Also, I've heard her complain to others about how poorly behaved today's children are, and that everything would be better if parents kept hitting their children. Something I am against, as my parents were always against that kind of upbringing. Moving on to food, she banned me from eating things with sugar. The first time I ate in 2024 with her dad, they brought blood tofu. I mentioned that due to my mom's religion, I don't eat blood, and I repeatedly say it until now, but she answered, as if you were that religious, you are in China now, and this is what we eat here. The same happened when I mentioned I didn't want to eat those small shrimp that looks like worms. She almost hit me that day. She was very furious. And in general, when I don't want to eat something, as it's done in southern China, like stirring at the noodles or pouring coconut juice over the rice, she responds in an upset tone. You are in China, and that is how things are done here. This is the way we eat. It's not about whether you like it or not. This is how things are done. Regarding work, besides being an English teacher, which I cannot do here since I am neither a native English speaker nor white, I also worked as a photographer. In Chile, I used to take photos of cosplay and boudoir lingerie, the latter being the source of my most income. However, I stopped doing it because my wife got angry. She saw it as an immoral thing to do. She sees cosplay as childish, which now that I am in China, I see is indeed the case here. In Chile, the cosplayers I work with were university students or professionals. Here, they are mostly teenagers. And all this brings us to the present. I have already been without a job for 5 months. She tells me not to worry, that she has money enough saved for emergencies. But that's not what I want, especially if I every time want to buy something, she's going to control me. When I go out, she asks if I want to buy something to eat, but it's always based on her parameters of traditional Chinese or Thai food. Don't even mention to have a hamburger, a pizza, as I will get fat, and she wants me to lose weight. Also, talking to other foreigners, I've realized that the salary as a teacher in China is lower than I earned in Chile. Moreover, I was happier there. Here I feel like I'm criticized for everything I do. And the ideas of ending my life, are coming back to me. Oh, that's so sad. I previously had those ideas when I was a teenager, and suddenly they are returning back to me, and I feel like a burden to others. I hear daily screams, bangs, and crying from the neighbors. That's just something very hard to live with. I'm telling you from my own experience, living in Shenzhen and hearing a girl banging a dog next door. It was just, it felt so awful. I'm gonna read that once again. I heard daily screams, bangs, and crying from the neighbors. My wife, while talking to her friends, mentions that she finds it strange that in Chile, despite all the problems, people are very cheerful. I miss that joy. And when I break down and start crying, there are two or 3 days when she becomes the most loving person in the world again. The woman I met in Chile, but then she goes back to exploding over minimal things like not stirring the food before eating, using too much toilet paper, eating 2 packets of cookies, or spending 18 renminbi on a comic. This happened yesterday. Thank you very much for reading me. I have already made the decision to return back to Chile, but I don't know how to tell her that I don't like living here in China and that I am not what she is looking for in a man. I look at how I'm dressed now while writing this, and this is not who I am anymore. But she is still my friend, and I don't want to hurt her. I have thought about getting a divorce, returning the money she lent me, and paying her an extra 100,000 RMB. Is that okay? I don't know much about divorces. I will be the first person in my family to request one. Poor thing. I already mentioned the idea of divorce to her, to which she responded, I'm 32 years old. Haven't you thought of me? People will start looking at me badly, and it will affect my career and reputation here. But really, the more time I spend in China, the more I want to end my life. I am not happy here. I miss my friends, my family, and working in what I love. What can I do? Can you suggest me anything? Thank you for everything. If you need any By the way, he made some updates. I'm sorry for the length of the story. I'm summarizing 8 years, and I apologize for the writing if there's any mistake. I'm trying to make the story as short as possible. Edit. August 6. I just heard another story from your follower, and I remember more details which I will add. I also decided to delete my name because I'm scared that I will have any recognition from my wife, and she will just be so angry about it. Edit, August 28. I bought my ticket to Chile. I will ask her for a divorce next week. And I have to give you an update of this story. The last update was that he lost the tickets because she somehow convinced him to stay there, that she loved him and they were going to be fine. And we made this story through a live stream in that channel, and he was like present while she was in the shower, and everybody was like telling him advice about how she needed to leave because it was just a very toxic relationship, not just from her side but from his side too. Also somehow allowed her to do that to him and didn't have any boundary for it. So gents here, please do give your advice in the comment section. I'll read you if you ever were married to a Chinese woman or are still married to her or are wanting to marry one or have any experience regarding this issue. Be my guest. I will be very delighted and grateful for your comments down below. Kisses to the world. See you on the next one, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed stories like this, because I have many. Usually my Spanish followers in that channel really enjoy such stories. See you. Another thing, be welcome to support the channel. The link's down below, and contact me if you, in any case, you need any kind of help with business. From China with love. Always Mar.